Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I proudly bring you the greatest hour of your week. I'm Brent Hazard, filling in or subbing in for Mr. Richard Schwartz, who's not here, but I've grabbed Socrates Garrett. I can't talk Socrates. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. How about you, Brent?
Well, I'm about to, we left some unsettled business from the first show.
We did.
And I'll let you off easy because I respect you, Mr. Garrett.
Well, okay.
But the respect's gone now.
Okay.
Okay, I'm just letting you know the respect is gone. And we're always joined by our beautiful producer, Dr. J. How are you doing, Dr. J?
I am better than blessed, as always.
I mean, feel free to get the mic near you before the show starts. Producer of the year, Socrates. Is it too late?
No, she's good. She's good.
Is she? On the other shows? Is this one? Are you sabotaging?
Oh, no. I thought she did really well on your show last week.
I mean,
thank
we're
you.
dragging her. I mean, I'm elevating everybody.
Okay.
And look, go behind the scenes. We had one guest cancel, and Mr. Schwartz has got his grandkids in, and he forgot about what time it is. But we're gonna forgive Richie. Grandkids are a sacred thing. But y'all got a big Valentine's plan, sir?
No. I don't believe in Valentine's Day.
So what?
Yeah, what exactly?
That sounds like a player.
Hallmark? You hate Hallmark?
No. You have to deliver too many flowers.
Okay.
Too many?
So
I mean, it sounds like a play got to play there, Dr. J.
Sounds like it's something you just need to leave alone, because somebody is going to be unhappy.
Ooh.
Well, I mean, that's my daily life concept. That's why I'm single. Is someone always unhappy?
Well, even when you're single, you get in a lot of trouble.
Oh, totally.
I mean, single don't mean that you're just single.
No. At this stage in my life, it does.
Oh, okay.
Because it's one of those things where it's just cheaper. But yeah, it's cold. It's COVID. It's hard to be very romantic.
Yeah,
Dr. J, do you have any big plans?
No, to date myself. I'm gonna Netflix and chill.
This is pathetic threesome right here.
I think they should have canceled Valentine's this year. But yeah. Because the Bonnie is froze out there. I mean, the little eggs. I feel sad for the people, the little, street merchants. They out there. It just doesn't look good.
Now, wait, okay. There was a homeless guy outside when I was pulling up.
Oh, really? I don't think he was homeless. I think he's a member of the team.
No, I'm talking about at the traffic light.
Oh, okay, at the traffic light.
I don't know what kind of member of the team. Like, you got people everywhere, Socrates? That's your network?
No.
I've seen John Wick now. I know there's a network of homeless people all working for the...
Well, we have one or two fewer now that David Archie made his move. And so we don't have as many homeless people as we used to.
Oh, you're supporting David Archie. Interesting position.
No, I just support his position with the homeless.
Okay. But with that said, when y'all see a man with a sign or a woman panhandling, begging, do you give any money to them?
Well, the spirit hits me on different days. Some days I'll give $1, and other days I'll roll my window up. And I don't know. I don't know why or when the spirit moves me to act one way or the other.
You said $1?
Yeah, $1.
Oh, Dr. J, you carry? I don't carry cash. So I'm waiting for one of them to hit me with.
If I was paying him, he gave me $1, I'd cuss him.
We know she a high beggar. You ain't heard beggars can't be cheap.
I thought I was going to give him 50 cents. I didn't a coin or something. I thought $1 was really nice.
Hey,
he said nice.
Let me tell you something. I used to, back when I had an office downtown, I used to have to go to the bank and cash some checks for people who do not have bank accounts. Man, I was walking back and 10 grand on me, one pocket.
Ooh, in Jackson?
In Jackson. And I was like, just let me get down. My office was right down the corner. And man, here comes this homeless guy. But in my wallet, I had 4 20s. I was like, give him everything. So I gave him everything. That man would, and I told him, look, man, don't ever ask me again. I'm going to hit you with love.
Oh, yeah.
And give him the whole 80. That man,
wow.
He broke traffic a couple times trying to get to me.
You gave him $80?
To keep him away from me in the 10 crack. And let me go ahead and say, I never carried cash. This was a settlement.
Look, this guy tried to rob me one evening. And, and he, told me to give me your wallet and all that. I said, look, let me tell you something.
So you gonna die over $250?
No, I told him, I said, let me tell you something. I'm gonna give you $10. And the next time I see
you can't negotiate.
No, well, I'm telling you, I said the next time I see you.
What did he have in his hand?
And he had a pistol. And I said, the next time I see you, I want my $10 back.
Throw the car keys at him, Socrates.
No, man. We can't keep running from these people.
That ain't running from people. That's damn surviving.
You got to stand up. It's like your first day of school. They take your lunch money. You let them take your lunch money?
Every day. You right about
every day they're going to take your lunch money.
You have something in your hand, so it's an equal fight. You're looking at 6 bullets against Will.
Well, I thought I was firm in my position.
Man, I'm going to get my guns out firm in his position. Oh, no, I mean, you're going to
I want my $10 back the next time I see you.
No.
Yeah.
No, but hell no. Speaking of crime, we're transitioning. Socrates going to die over. And FYI, I don't carry cash on me. That was like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So when I walk out of here and someone asks me for that 10 grand, that's been gone.
Oh, yeah, but you'll give up 80.
To keep 10 safe? Yes. That's business, Socrates.
Okay.
I'm not fighting you because you know as well as I do. I open that wallet, he gonna see all 4, right?
Man, nobody in the African American community is trying to give up that 80. I can tell you that now. We're getting ready to fight. Okay,
I'm gonna be rolling on the ground. So
Dr. J, would you give up 80? Would you have given up 80?
Hell no.
You keep 10 grand in your pocket, Dr. J.
I was going to keep 10 grand and $60. And that's only because you had 4 20s. If I had a 10, I was going to give him that 10.
I'm going to bring the Jenkins boys up here. And we're going to test Super Socrates over here. Because he's got some superpowers I didn't know about.
No,
we got Superman in the building.
I just can't give you my money like that. You just can't take my money. Not like that hard. You know how hard it is for me to come by $20?
Man, I'm sitting here in We Believe Studios. That's how desperate I am. If people want to call in Socrates and book some studio time with the fabulous Dr. J.
Well, Dr. J's got all that information, and so she can share it, Brent.
Wow, I'm tossing you up, and you just...
Tossing it back to me.
Does anybody know the phone number around here?
769-447-8313. Again, 769-447-8313. We will get you booked and get you right on the air.
Now let's get into this. The city council gave our chief of police 10 days to come up with. Okay, wait. Before I go into this, we backed off on some things. Socrates and I got finished, and I mean, let's be honest. Let's call it what it was. Dr. J was scared to jump in last time on the first show. Now she opened up on the second show. But let's get back to where we ended. One thing I wanted to say, you said that you did not believe in, you said people did not change, or people could change, and I said people could not change.
That's right.
And you brought up grace.
That's right.
And this is what happens as a lawyer every time. As soon as the show ended, I was driving home and went, dang it, this is what I should have said.
Yeah.
I believe in grace and forgiveness. But if people truly did change, Socrates, once you accepted the Lord in your life, you'd never sin again. That would be true change. But we're going to be a sinner the next day. We're never going to stop sinning. We just have to condition ourselves to be better.
That's right.
That's not true change. True change would stop the sin. We're never going to change. That's called winning the argument, Dr. J. That's what that's called. Go ahead, Socrates.
My pastor says we're work in progress, that we're changing every day. Mm-hmm. We evolve into the position of perfection, but it's work in progress. So I'm changing. you know, my attitude, my language, and my how I treat people, I change. I get better and better at that every day. And so I consider that change. Until today, I no longer hate white people.
Okay, let's get into that. I'm good with that. You mentioned that last time.
Yeah. I don't have any hate.
Okay, first of all, and I didn't know you like I know you now, Socrates. I didn't want to hit you hard. I'm hitting you hard now. Most racist thing you've ever experienced personally?
Wow. Man, I got a litany of things.
I mean, just to go ahead. The one that you still wake up mad about.
Man, the worst thing in the world that happened to me, Brent, was witnessing things that happened to other African Americans. Me personally, I was sheltered from that experience from a direct hit. So, you know, my anger comes from the things that were happening to people around me, like the sheriff up in Madison County.
Now, what year is this?
This is 70s, early 70s. Billy Noble.
I 72. I was born. I didn't get here.
Oh, okay. Well, then you don't know anything about this. Then you know you're not guilty of any of these things I'm talking about because you went to school with black folk, probably.
No, I went to academy now. Let's not lie. I went to Washington School. Come on now. I was playing basketball at Ward's in the streets of Greenville. But no, I went to an all-school academy. But at the time,
was it all white academy?
You know they left the school with us after Brown, 69, and you know, even though Brown was passed in 54, it took Mississippi to 69
Dr. J
to
dropping
integrate
some knowledge.
the schools. So that's why he was at the academy, because they didn't want to go to school with us.
Wow. Okay, Brent.
You didn't know about white flight. This is news to you.
Wow, but I thought you were in the generation where we all got along, like Rodney King said. We all just got along.
One, you might not know this. I'm from a lot of money. So let me say this. Because when y'all talk about white privilege, let me just go ahead and say that. I recognize white privilege exists, but I mean, I'm hazard privilege. I have to take like 2 more bankruptcies to get to white privilege. Okay? So it confuses me. I mean, someone's got to be the bad man.
Boy, I got a new term. One of these days, I want to have hazard privilege.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Forget white privilege. I want hazard privilege.
But let me go ahead and tell you how that story ends. The Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. They put a grain embargo on my family was in the towboat business. And that's why the Delta is what it is.
Wow.
And that because the Soviet Union was buying all the grain up from the Delta, they went to Brazil. They never came back. My family technically owns the biggest bankruptcy in Mississippi history. I've been told by the bankruptcy trustee. That is not a record you want. Let me just go ahead.
Well, I don't know. There's no debtor's prison in America. You only go to prison if you...
When they take the plane away, Socrates, it hurts. Let me go ahead and tell you that's pain. Okay. But back to what you were saying. Okay. In all seriousness, no, because I think we need to have these conversations. And like you said, growing up at Washington School, I knew a ton of black people, and like I said, we played basketball at the Y, we played basketball at street gyms all the time, but it was just kind of accepted. And then you started when I went to college at Ole Miss in '91, I sat there and I said, this is the first time I've ever been in a classroom with black people.
Wow. And the black boys your age have to call you Mr. Brent.
Wow, you going there.
No, I'm just asking.
Who would call me Mr. Brent?
I don't know. I mean, back in the day, you know, they wanted you to call a white man Mr. regardless to his age and yours.
This was 91, sunshine.
Oh, okay.
This wasn't 1952. How old do I look? But like I said.
But you know that happened.
Yeah, no, look. And this is where I'm going with you. When you said, it almost offended me when you said I had to let my anger go against the white man. And I understand it from a personal experience.
Yeah.
But I do believe that Mississippi African Americans are not angry enough. And I'm not saying to go get a gun. I'm not saying to go but what drives me, and we were talking about our deadly sins last time. What is your deadly sin?
Well, I tell you, first of all, I don't have a deadly sin. I've never
we
done.
all have deadly
I've never
sins.
done anything that I deserve to die for.
No, the 7 deadly sins.
Well, I don't know about 7 deadly sins. What do you mean?
You a lie.
Let me just say, you're bringing us down, Dr. J. We were breaking a new universe last time, and you bringing us down.
You have to explain to me how I get to be 7 of them.
Lust. I didn't create the deadly sins.
Oh, okay. Is it like the 10 Commandments or something? What book is this in?
Where's the deadly sins come from? It was sloth, lust. Hang on, I got them. Greed, wrath, pride. I can name them all. I can't name them in order.
I don't have one of those so far.
What was the other one? Pride, greed, sloth, lust, envy,
gluttony.
Yeah.
Which one is you? Which one are you?
It would have been lust.
Okay. Dr. J, what was yours? Oh, yours was gluttony. And mine was wrath. Just out of curiosity.
I thought you said pride.
No, that was his. And I was going to let him answer. Of course, he just called me. Schwartz just called me.
I grew up at a time when, out in Griffin Park in L.A., nobody wore any clothes or anything. It was women were throwing their bras away in Chicago down in the street. And it was a beautiful time.
Freak meat.
Does it not sound like there's a freak among us?
No, I'm just telling you the times we were in. The times we were in.
Mardi Gras. Sound like Mardi Gras.
It sounds a lot worse than that. It sounds like Socrates getting a little bit too comfortable under the mic. No, I understand being young.
Yeah, I was a young man, 20 years old.
I don't regret anything, but what people don't tell you, and we all knew we're going to get older.
Yeah.
But you don't appreciate that young body until it's gone.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
then when it's gone, and like I said, I don't want to start playing glory days or anything like that. But you take for granted eating anything you want, being able to work out. One of the things I used to love is playing basketball all day. And then, you look up and you're like, man, did we eat today? Or, let's go eat 3 triples and 2 pizzas and not gain a pound. Yeah. And now I look at a piece of cheesecake.
See, that's white privilege there.
How is that white privilege?
We don't play basketball all day. We never had.
Socrates, I hate to tell you this, but people I was playing against, I was like the only white man there. Because if that was white privilege in Greenville, Mississippi at war, someone didn't tell the white people.
Oh, okay. I forget the generation you come from.
I was like, I don't know where you.
Because we went to work. We were picking cotton in the fields before day. Come back, get ready to go to school. Come back after school, go back to the fields, work till dark. And that was the routine every day, on 6 days a week, and on Sunday we went to church.
What year was this?
It was the whole years, all of the years.
You, man, like I said, that was
this is a routine deal, man. It's a routine. This is 1970 to 1990, probably, something like that. I left home.
When did you quit picking cotton?
Well,
now wait, Dr. J, that didn't sound good coming out my mouth. That sounded like that was something. But
it was all right. It's all right. It's all right.
Dr. J.
No. The beautiful thing about me picking cotton is at least I was picking my own cotton.
Us free.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you impressed if you're picking your own cotton?
Yeah, I was picking my own cotton.
Dr. J, I need a ruling here. Are you impressed if you're picking your own cotton? Dr. J?
Are you oppressed if you picking your own cotton? Well, in this system, yes. In this system, yes.
It's only oppressed because I didn't get the same price for my bale as you got for yours.
Exactly.
I didn't own cotton, man. We were on towboats. We were sitting there pushing cotton and grain. We were helping you out.
Well, yeah, I bet.
But anyway, moving on. With this said, you didn't shut Dr. J down again.
Well, no.
It's okay. She was yelling at me.
She's in your generation after you.
When were you born, Dr. J? Is that
78?
Okay, yeah. So 78, 72, and what?
46.
Oh, good God. How are you still alive? You're doing well.
I'm doing really good.
You're doing really well.
Yeah, I am. And that's why I have all of these emotions.
Okay, back to forgiving the white man.
Yeah.
You still haven't told us the worst thing you saw. You danced around it. I want that one. That one.
Brent, I've seen so many atrocious things until I can't give you just one. I've witnessed.
First one that came to mind.
Rape. Black women being raped.
Well, that's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad, Brent.
That's pretty bad.
But I saw black women being slapped. That's pretty bad.
Yes.
I've seen black boys being actually physically beaten and really even murdered. I've seen all that. I saw my uncle get his hand shot off and his eye shot out because he was driving a school bus in Madison County, and he went to pull around a school bus that had the white kids on it, and they didn't want no black man to pass them. And so they cut him off and opened the door, and they shot him. Would have shot his head off, but he threw his hands up, shot his fingers off. So, I mean, you can take me down through that, but I forgive everybody for that. I have no hatred in my heart. But I've seen a lot of bad things.
No, I mean, there's no doubt
about that. I was 9 years old when Emmett Till got killed, and black boys didn't come out of the house after that, Brett. We experienced that. So, I mean, 46 lets me tell you about some really bad things.
Well, that's the conversations I want to have. But
okay.
Now I want to get to the next point. Is that what you're a very successful person, all sincerity?
By black standards.
By anybody's standards.
No.
I'm sitting in your studio.
No, do you know what Chris Rock said, Brett?
Okay, go ahead.
He said, there is no white man in America that would trade places with me, and I am filthy rich.
I don't know if you can say that when you're talking about Tiger, Michael. I mean, every year it gets better. But when you're talking about, like...
Or you think some white man would trade places with Michael?
With Michael Jordan?
You think so, Brent? I bet you if you went out in Rankin County and asked
why would you, if you're Michael Jordan, be in Rankin County, period?
Well, I'm just trying to get you out there where a lot of white people live.
I understand where the white people are. Michael is with a lot of white people. There's not a lot of black NBA owners.
You can't go in Georgetown and ask no white people. Nothing. So you got to get you over there.
Why would Michael Jordan be in Georgetown? What I'm saying is, if you're telling me that I could be the international phenom, Michael Jordan, who changed the game. Now, like I said...
But you're white.
No.
I'm saying you're white right now. So
yeah, I'm white. I am white right now.
and so you would change place. You would change your place to be Michael Jordan.
Worth $1 billion.
Brad, I don't believe that for a day. What do you think, Dr. J?
That Michael Jordan's not worth $1 billion?
No, that you would trade places with him.
What kind of lifestyle do you think I'm living in Jackson, Mississippi? More importantly, you understand.
Either you don't understand what black people go through, or you just talking.
No, but what I'm saying, and that's what we're doing here is discussing it. But two, well, I'm not saying Michael Jordan didn't have any racism to begin with. When did you think Michael Jordan, because Michael Jordan went to UNC, right? And I don't know if you know this, Dr. J, and I don't know how big of a basketball player you are. Back then, you don't go to UNC unless you're top 5, top 10 players in the nation. And they said there's a story about Jordan getting cut and all that stuff and having to do all that. But what I'm saying is, once you hit that level, people know who Michael Jordan was. I mean, Michael Jordan literally won the national championship his freshman year. And then he literally was on Sports Illustrated. I had some friends who they didn't go to UNC, but UNC, Duke, and North Carolina is within a 90-mile radius. And they all hang out together. Michael Jordan was a walking god in college. And what I understand, if we were talking about the average African-American versus white, yes, there's no doubt there's white privilege. But when you're talking about a man who took celebrity to a level that's never been seen in sports. I mean, when I go... Well, here, if I go Michael Jordan's the most famous man on the planet, who are you going to name? Now, in his heyday, not now, in his heyday, who are you going to name to trumpet?
Well, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not trying to trump the blackness of it. You are avoiding the issue.
No, not the blackness, but what I'm saying with that celebrity and power.
My point was there was no white man that would trade places with Michael Jordan.
I would honestly disagree with that. Now, I mean, the problem you get into when you're talking about me trading places with anybody, you get into, I don't say male ego, because I really enjoy being me. But what I'm saying is, if you're sitting me, if I'm up in heaven or wherever souls are generated, and my soul's walking around, and you're saying, Brent, you could be a white attorney in Jackson, Mississippi, or you can be the best NBA player, and you don't know this about me. I've had 3 major knee injuries, and my athletic career was ended quick. And white boys can't jump. Well, this one could. I hung out with 3.
You look like you played in that movie.
I could. After 3 knee injuries, 3 knee surgeries, I had to quit playing football in 10th grade because my surgeon said, "I'm tired of putting your knee together."
Wow.
So when you're realizing that, and I mean, let's be honest, so everybody hears this. At best, if I didn't have any knee injuries, maybe a D-AA or D1, what we used to call D1AA. Michael Jordan is one of those people for at least 10 years. I mean, he called himself Black Jesus. Now, that bothered me a little bit.
Yeah, that bothers me too.
But to be able to walk into a gym for the 90s and realize there's not a person in here that's going to stop.
It doesn't bother me because I don't think Jesus was black.
No. I know what you. It's a little blasphemous.
Yeah.
It's a little.
You said you don't think he was black?
No, I said it doesn't bother me that Michael called himself Jesus. I'm not saying that a black man couldn't have been Jesus. Well, I mean, I'm just saying Michael couldn't have been him.
Oh, okay.
He found it blasphemous in the religious
I
tone.
do.
Yes, I do too. But I mean, he literally would call him. It came out on the Last Dance.
Yeah, he ought not do that.
But with that said, no one could touch him. And I mean, when Magic Johnson and Larry Bird are sitting there
way to change the conversation.
Ma'am.
Way to change the conversation.
No.
You white people good at changing the conversation and controlling the narrative. Like
what I'm saying is, it depends on generation.
Did they teach you that at the academy? Did you learn that at the academy?
Honestly, Google. Let me Google. Are you truly saying? Because this is the conversation I want to have. I almost want to say I've settled some cases for $60 million and $27 million.
Wow.
Okay.
Let me borrow $1 million.
$80. You can get 80.
That's the highest.
And you for someone who believes in judgment, you got to answer that anyway.
No, I was just thinking about the homeless man.
I know what I'm saying.
Okay.
Socrates.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
I got it that day, baby. We can share it. But the thing about a plaintiff's lawyer, I also just lost a $100 million case in April.
Wow.
And what I'm saying is, if you ever told me I would be on cases like that, I would have called you a liar. I remember in 3rd grade, I had to do a report or something about, success, and I had to ask my dad what he made. In 3rd grade, so what? You go to school at 7, so it's 79, 80, 82. I asked my dad what he made. He said $40,000. Now, a Honda, I think, cost $2. So, I mean, that was good money back then. But I said to myself, if I've made $40,000, what more would I need to make? And I've made significantly more than that depending on the case. But what they don't tell you when you're making $8 million or you sell this case, sell that case, on Microsoft, the case we were talking about selling for $60 million, we paid an expert $2 million. And you're sitting there like, I hope I get this back. Or the case we just lost $100 million, it was a $120 million case we lost in April. They overturned 200 years of law. And we had $250,000. This is not counting man hours. This is hard cash. We had $250,000 in. I literally, and I'm trying to get away from it, I like produce movies when I do big cases. You're hoping it hits. It's going to be appealed. And people hear the numbers. You're like, dude, I've been on cases where we're like, well, you made 1.7. It's like, dude, that's what the fee was. We had 3 in it. And you don't realize that because then you have to talk about tax consequences or stuff like that. And then you're looking at it and you're like, I've lost $400,000 in a year before. Now I had enough money to keep going, but let me tell you this: when you're sitting there looking at negative $400,000 for the year, you're like, man, I'm going to get a drink. And
Should have been out there with that homeless man.
There we go. Exactly. And you're sitting there. So I'm very fortunate in that. But then you understand, there's only, and I'm sure would you agree with this? There's only so many hours in a day, and there's only so much. If you were in New York, and you were the same contractor in New York or Miami or Atlanta, you would have more opportunities just on pure population. So when you...
No, I'd have more opportunity based upon less racism.
Well,
right.
Exactly.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, but the situation, let's take Atlanta, okay? We can agree that Georgia, whatever their level of racism, Mississippi's probably, you'd have to say, the worst. But Georgia's coming in bottom 5, right? Okay. Can we agree to that?
Okay.
With that said, it's just the competition of being in an urban city. It's the competition of having transportation. With that said, I can't sit here at 48 years old and say I'm ever going to earn $1 billion. Okay? And I'm not saying end all be all, but George's sitting on $1 billion. Now, I can't sit here and tell 2 African Americans their experiences, especially, and I'll say this. One of the things I think we have to have a serious conversation is the generations are getting better. We are improving. It's not a perfect situation. But, I mean, the stuff you just named, and I felt you were getting a little upset there, which I'm glad you shared that with me. But those are the conversations. We need to have those awkward conversations where people get awkward. But it is getting somewhat better where I remember at Ole Miss, I grew up with a Confederate flag at 7 or 8 just because that's what Ole Miss had. I had no knowledge of it. I'm walking with 2 of my black friends to go play basketball at Turner Center, and someone had the Confederate flag at one of the dorms and the David Duke sign. My friends didn't say anything. And I looked up and it got extremely awkward, and I was like, damn, I see it now. Or I get it. And no one said anything. And, you know, you just like, I'm not touching another Confederate flag. It wasn't anything that would make my friends just uncomfortable. It wasn't really ready. I was like, I don't need that. That doesn't add anything for me. But, I mean, to put it by a David Duke sign, now that I know better about the whole history of it, yes, it was a stupid symbol and needed to go. But
you know how many people have no idea what that means? I mean, you had the Dukes of Hazzard. They had a whole show. You know how many black people were fans and were wearing this stuff, and still today did not make the connection.
Well, in the 80s,
the Dukes of Hazzard?
Dukes of Hazzard was racist.
Is that like Brett Hazard?
Got a YouTube channel here.
I don't know. I don't know.
No, but that's Hazard.
Mr. Garrett is good.
I didn't know. I just want to be clear.
You gotta give him credit. That was good.
You think that's the first time I heard Dukes of Hazzard was my last name? Well, here, let me ask y'all this, okay? Sincere, let me flip it back on y'all. How good do y'all think my life is where I would turn down being a billionaire who owns the NBA players who was the greatest basketball player ever?
But you're going to get pulled over soon, you.
Whoa, I ask you sincerely. But no, sincerely. When's the last time Michael Jordan's actually... But when LeBron James went to Miami, they stopped traffic so he could get somewhere on that parade. And I understand, on average, I understand white privilege and discrimination. Michael Jordan's never getting pulled over in his life. I mean, maybe for a fan or stuff. But it's like taking Chris Rock. Chris Rock in one of his movies, was it 5 Questions? Did you see that one?
He talked about being pulled over.
But he talked about not getting a cab, and in his movie, he raised his hand and got a cab. But sincerely, y'all talking about avoiding the issue. How much better do you think my life is than Michael Jordan? I'm curious about this.
That's not our concern, how much better your life
If you're asking me if I would trade my life for Michael Jordan,
I said to you that no white man would trade his life. Now you're white, and you're contemplating whether you would or wouldn't. But in reality, you'd rather be white and dirt poor than Michael Jordan.
No. No, in the 70s.
You'd rather live in a trailer park.
I don't know about that one.
In the 70s,
in the 50s, as long as you are white. Because if you are white, that means that you are better than most races in the ethnicities in the world. Black, Asian, Indian, they're not looked at and revered in the same way that the white race is revered. It's just the reality of that. And that's why your president said.
Whoa. One, he's not my president. Two, he's the ex-president.
Well,
there's a little racism there, Socrates.
I'm not racist.
He was your president, too.
That's true. I'll take that back.
Okay. There's a real racism there.
That's not racist.
And I find it Trump.
Wait. He's saying I'm a Trump supporter just by looking.
No, he just said your president. He was saying that was our president and not his. That's what. It wasn't racist, though.
He didn't say it was your president. You're sitting. Go ahead, Socrates.
I'm just saying, when he referred to things like shithole countries.
Whoa. We got to watch our language.
The president said it, so we can't say it.
I'm not the one who set the restrictions on the show.
Well,
Atlanta did.
Okay. Well, S-hole.
Yes.
Okay.
But what I'm saying
and then the little Congress lady that I saw the other day told her
Maxine Waters
to go. The white one. They go and hang out with your goats. Go back to wherever that is. I mean, we get it.
Which one? Which ones? I didn't get the.
Oh, she is really way out there. I don't know her name, Taylor or something like that.
Okay, go ahead.
And so.
Oh, you talking about the one from Georgia?
Yeah, I think
they striped out
yeah,
that one. That's green.
She way out, green or something like. She way out there.
But see, you're changing the conversation, and what I'm saying.
So, Brett, that was a study done, and this is something the black race has got to fight itself through and get over it. There was a study done that if you showed black girls, in kindergarten.
Hang on, I get people text messaging me now. You are a Trump supporter. Go ahead.
If you show black girls little white dolls and little black dolls and ask them to choose one, do you know that they would choose the little white doll?
No, and I know that study to be
Kenny Clark.
Because that's what they see every day. Because of TV.
No, that's
Kenny Clark did that study. They actually used that study to help win Brown versus Board of Education. Kenny Clark and his wife did the doll test on black kids, and it's because of what they were seeing. It's because of what they
said. Yeah, so that's what's on the media.
Exactly.
No, that's exactly.
They were seeing a much better life for themselves. They were trying to identify with something that was significantly better to them than being black. Nobody wanted to be black,
I agree. In 1955, it was not even a question. That's when the study was done. But what I'm saying is, as we get into the 21st century, and I'm not sitting here, and I want to make sure I'm clear, I'm not sitting here saying that we're equal. But what I'm saying...
Hold on, we not equal?
No. There's no equal. To me, but this is a curiosity. This is the curiosity, and this is what I think. To get where we need to go, this is the sincerity that we need to have.
Right.
What do y'all think my life is? And y'all keep on avoiding this question. What do y'all truly think, absence of all black people, and 400 years of oppression, 400 years of, civil rights was passed in 1965. I understand all that. We were joking about the 13th Amendment being passed here in 2013. There's no doubt the last lynching was in 1980. And on my old show, on WNPR, I said the Civil Rights Museum, you should have bodies hanging from trees when you walk in. Because I wanted to have the awkward conversation. Then they opened up the lynching museum, I think in Alabama. They're literally people, because we have to have these conversations. Because one, I think we've romanticized it as a self-defense mechanism. And there's not enough people, and it goes back to what I was saying about, I don't want you to forgive white people. Now, if that's what you have to do to survive emotionally and spiritually, I'm not telling you what to do, because you live through things I do not want to see. Because I can't imagine, Socrates, of us drinking from separate water fountains. I just can't, but I know it happened. Down in Lowndes County, they voted to keep them. And what I'm saying is, when I hear that, it's so foreign to me. I don't have any perspective on that level. Now, have I seen racism? Of course I have. But to me, the most racist thing I've personally seen, I've heard people use words. Somebody was going to shoot me at a basketball game one time. I was going to go get my gun because some white boys beat him. Stuff like that. I've seen it both ways. But the most racist case I've ever dealt with is I couldn't get a white guy arrested for child molestation. And in youth court, what would happen is when kids are brought in, we'd have to do a probable cause hearing to prove that they were sexually abused for all the aid and the counseling to kick in. Once that probable cause was established, the deputies would get up and go arrest a person because they only have probable cause to go arrest. I had 3 hearings on this white guy, and they would not go arrest him. Now, it's the most racist case I ever dealt with that a black guy wasn't involved. Because every time, and I had to go scream at cops, and I had to go, he was an affluent person, and he, and I kept on asking, why hasn't this guy been arrested? And, the guy filed bar complaints on me, and I had to go answer to some committees I can't fully disclose there were complaints filed and stuff like that. And they said, well, besides him pleading guilty, what was I doing wrong? So, to me, to see all these African Americans get arrested, but the conversation I think we also need to have is when I hear white privilege. And like I said, to me, when you said it was Donald Trump, I strongly disagree with that because, like I said, I don't know another white person who could cause a riot in Washington, D.C. To me, white privilege is what you're talking about. I have friends who lived on Nelson Street, if they were born in my house. Now, you two don't know this and we haven't talked about this. I'm adopted. In 1972 in New Orleans, I was given up. And let's be honest, in 1972, it wasn't, people are like, well, it's probably Archie Manning's kid. No, it's some streetwalker in New Orleans.
What, did you ever find your biological?
No, and actually someone's looking for
some
me.
Streetwalker.
Well, what do you think I had? There's 2 things that happened in New Orleans in 1972. Underage pregnancy or some hooker, right?
Well, no, I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
Well, no, see, y'all romanticizing, but what I'm saying on odds, to give up a child in 1972.
You could have been Rockefeller or somebody,
You're romanticizing. You're the type of person.
So they didn't want that, they couldn't bring the baby into that hierarchy.
Well, exactly.
So.
Yeah. But what I'm saying in reality, it's going to be 1 or 2. But what I'm saying is then, I don't remember being adopted. 27 days.
Yeah.
Okay? But I understand that that's what we were joking about, hazard privilege. I knew my parents never hid that my brother's adopted, my sister is adopted, my dad's sterile. I hit the lottery, but to answer your question, no, my mom, I know who my mom and dad is. I know that's weird, but it's just like, yeah, those people raised me. That's mom and dad. Because it's one of the, I understand it. I just can't relate to people. Those people who had me are not my mom and dad. But everybody says the same thing you said. And that's the closest thing I can say about being, understanding the black experience. Until you're living it, it's not different. And people are like, I would like to know my medical history. My fear is they would want something from me that's just not there. Well, I'd be like, nice to meet you. I'm gone. Because like I said, I know who
you're the same guy that gave the $80 to the homeless person.
That's because I had 10 grand in my pocket, Socrates. I'm going to give 80 for security, so I'm not rolling on the ground because in my mind, where I'm from, the Jenkins boys, if they got that 10 grand, I'm glad you're from such a nice neighborhood where you can tell the criminals, stop.
No.
In the Delta?
That $10, my $10 meant as much to me as your 10 grand.
When I hit one of those big cases, I had cousins who told me they'd shoot me over $1 million. So to tell someone, let me tell you a story about one of the Jenkins boys. We were sitting there one time, and a guy gets in and holds a gun to his head and give me all your money. He said, okay, and he starts driving. He said, where are you going? To the ATM. I don't have any cash on me. He said, why the hell are we going to the ATM? He said, dude, I'm not getting shot for $350. He's like, why are you going to give me $350? He said, that's all I can draw on my ATM. He pulls up, turns to the guy and goes, you going to get down? He goes, why would I get down? There's cameras at the bank, man. The Jenkins boys used to rob banks. So he pulls up, gets the $350 out, gives it to him, and the guy's like, thank you. He's like, what are we doing? I'm not dying for $350 today, man. But that's what I'm saying.
I hear you.
But back to the question. I truly believe why I can recognize last lynching, 1980, Mobile, Alabama. Your boys done some studying.
2020.
Huh?
2020.
No. See, let me spread this. Okay, this is behind the scenes here. When you hear about someone getting hung in jail, no, they OD you. They either hire a trustee to kill you, or they get a trustee to kill you.
I don't believe Sandra Bland hung herself.
Which one was Sandra Bland? The one in Texas?
Yes.
She had a history of depression, and I think it overwhelmed her. I'm not saying she was racially profiled, but I think there's a history of depression. But I'm just telling you, if you really look at what it takes to hang someone in 2020, it's just easier for you to test hot, or it's easier to take care of a trustee to stab you. Now, I'm saying that as ex-prosecutor. No, but I mean, what the people don't understand is, you would not believe how many trustees allegedly that rumors, I do not know this firsthand, that, hey man, go say hello to Socrates for me. And that weekend, a guy doing double murder is a trustee out driving around, goes to kill somebody. You're not going to look for him. And I mean, it's the same way. There's certain people in Mississippi that all they have to do is say, give it a head nod or something, and everybody knows that I'm double life doing murder. That guy, hey, go say hello to Dr. J. What you gonna? I mean, that's how it's done. I know rumors. They're not so much gonna plant drugs in you on your car. They'll just wait and put it in your fruit punch, and then they're like, hey, we gotta do a drug test. Okay. You test hot? What's this cocaine for, man? And next thing you know, you're explaining it, and next thing you know, shifting. But people don't want to say this. The people who cook in certain jails and prisons in Mississippi, they have an STD, and I'm not talking about the small ones. I'm talking about they'll spit in your food so you get it. Wow. And that's what I'm saying. People don't want to have the conversations. I've been in cases where people have driven up. There was a plea deal in Yazoo City. I won't say the judges. It was a special judge. I had the wife. It was cocaine. I had the wife. We cut a deal where she could go home on house arrest. It used to be so stupid. Transfer of drugs had a lower sentence than sell of drugs. It's the same damn thing, same statute. But transfer didn't get caught up in the 85% law or something like that. It was 25%, and you could qualify for house arrest. It was stupid. It was just stupid. But you had to know what you're doing. I knew what I was doing. Her husband was in a wheelchair. He got 10 years. Judge threw out the deal, got 10 years. I was there when MDOC came down, and we were just sitting out there. It was about 4 o'clock, and the guy was sitting there in his wheelchair, nice as he could be, and he was like, where's Freddie Jenkins? He was not a Jenkins boy. Freddie Smith. I don't want the Jenkins boys mad at me. And he raised his hand, and the guy said, oh, hell no. Y'all go do something with him. And we all looked down and said, what are you talking about? He said, if I put him in my van, it's $150,000. He said, we'd have to put ramps at every camp out in Parchment. I can't touch him. So he just drives off. They had to reconvene the judge and tell him, Parchment is not going to spend enough money to put a man in a wheelchair there. You've got to let him go or give him the same deal his wife got. And that's what I'm saying. I've actually been in a home. I have to go back and tell y'all some Jenkins boy stories. I used to represent a family that's fictional, Socrates. They do not exist. Okay. These are for stories only.
Okay. You're giving me flashbacks, but go ahead.
I was sitting in someone's house. Now, I grew up with Billy Joe and Bubba Jenkins. They some serious heavy lifters, if they existed. Okay?
Okay.
But they lived out in the boondocks. They went to public schools, and when you talked about a criminal family, that was their occupation. They were the ones who looked at me and said one time, well, we got 6 cousins in Parchment. And you're just like, 6? Oh, my God. And they're like, it's not that bad. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's that bad. Yeah. So we're sitting there. Bubba and Billy Joe, we're all playing games or something. This was the 90s. We hear a knock. Now, they lived in a place where you did not knock. Okay, you just came in. Because, I mean, ain't nothing else out there. We hear a knock. Swear to God, the last time I was at the house and knocked, 16 officers and dogs were raiding it. So I'm sitting there, I looked at Billy Joe, and I was like, what is going on? No, man, we ain't doing it from here anymore. So they get up. Billy Joe, they used to call him Ice, because when it came to dealing business, he didn't care. He came back whiter than your mask. And I'm like, what are you doing? Jimmy Ray Jenkins was behind him. Let me give you a little flashback in Jimmy Ray. In 1986, Jimmy Ray and two individuals robbed the bank. And they were trying to divide $83,611.23 by 3. Hard number to divide by 3. But Billy Joe, after the third attempt of trying to divide it by 3, realized he had 2 bullets in his gun. So he just shot the other 2. So he gets double murder, pleads out, I think, to 40 years. Before I went to law school, I was thinking first year law school, I get a call. This was my first call like this. This call's originating from the state penitentiary. Will you accept the charges? And I was like, what the hell is this? So I hit 1. Hey, man, Jimmy Ray Jenkins, what's up? What's up, man? Hey, man, can they charge you with rape if you're in Parchment? I'm like, who did you rape? What woman did you rape in Parchment, Jimmy Ray? Oh, it wasn't a woman, man. My cellmate wanted it last night. Now he's embarrassed. I said, aren't you doing double life, man? Yeah. What are we talking about, Jimmy Ray? Oh, come on, man. It's the principle of the thing. They can't give you more than that. Just plead. He did something, agreed, that got another 10 years. Go back to where we are outside of Greenville, where that knock happened. Jimmy Ray walked in, and we all just stared at him. Man, you killed 2 people and raped another one. How you get here? Man, I got HIV, and they just decided they're not going to give it. This was back when the AZT cocktail cost $5,000 a month. I know that because that's what they were charging Parchment. They paroled him. And he goes, man, come on, man. When y'all got to give me a ride to the police station? I just stared at him and said, what for? Man, if I'm off my drugs for 60 days, I'll die. I'll go full-blown edge. I've got to go hit a cop. I dropped Jimmy Ray off with Billy Joe and Bubba. I watched Jimmy Ray walk up to a cop in Greenville, Mississippi, hit him as hard as he could, wave back to us, and said, thanks. We go back. I go to school, come back for Christmas. We're out at the Jenkins boys' house. We all playing games or something, or playing basketball or something. Bubba said they released me again. Now, I'm sitting there looking at him, and because they weren't going to pay for, they had lost a court case where they had to pay for his HIV meds, and they could not do it on budget. The reason I tell you all this is people want to believe in that romantic world where good versus bad and evil and all that. It's economics. And he literally, I gave him the money to get on a bus ticket on Greyhound to go punch someone in Shelby County so he could stay alive. And Memphis was still giving prisoners AZT medicine. Wow. And that's what I'm saying, that the Jenkins boys and that crew, they literally could bust out any standardized test. That is not what they're born into.
You didn't ask me about my experience with race.
Oh, we were getting there. But go ahead.
You know, from a little girl watching my father, who all he wanted to do was to be mayor, but he spent the majority of my childhood incarcerated just because he wanted to be mayor and change his community, and because of the color of his skin and the trumped up charges that they put on my father. The first march or rally that I ever attended was at 2 or 3 years old on behalf of my father. And that's why I'm an advocate.
We're skipping some steps. Tell us a little bit about your father, because we covered this a little bit last show.
Well, my father's name is Eddie Carth, and he was elected the first black mayor of Tula, Mississippi in the 70s. And because he was black, and refused to be their boy, they put all these trumped up charges, 3 different charges. One was for misappropriating funds. The other one was assault on a police officer. And this guy wasn't even a police officer. And the third charge was for murder. So because they couldn't get him on these different charges, they just kept putting these charges. And then 40 years later, to see all these charges come back up once he was reelected to office, it's like this lie is hunting this man his entire life, and he doesn't deserve that. All he wanted to do was be an asset to his community. And because of racism, you know, they took his job from him. And now trying to charge him.
Took your father away from your formative years.
Exactly.
Okay, let me ask you both of this. And this is why I want to have a real conversation. And I think and y'all both have avoided this, but I want to follow up with this. Because
we know you go through things too.
No, it's not that. But what I'm saying is, I want to talk about reparations or restitution. What would money put you back equal?
Well, it's a good start.
Well, Socrates, yeah. I think you love money more than most people. But no, okay. And we're
the word said money solves all problems.
No. Well, no, then the world says money, more money, more problems.
That was the world. I said the word.
Oh, okay. I thought
the Bible.
The word
I ain't never seen that in the Bible.
Yeah, I didn't see what phrase.
Hey, my mom is a Bible scholar.
Not you, though.
I thought the Bible said the money was the root of all evil.
The root of all evil. But it also says that money solves all problems.
Okay.
I'm going to have to look it up.
Look it up.
Hey, you got the internet right there, producer. Feel free to Google. But here, back to Socrates, okay? Right now, what would you fear is just for what you've seen? Okay, well, let me ask you this. Back, you had mentioned it. If you were white, you felt like you'd be more successful, especially in Mississippi, which when you were born... And statistically,
if I were white, I would at bare minimum have been governor of the state of Mississippi.
Go ahead.
Okay.
With the intellect and the drive, it would have been.
Oh, I'm a Socrates fan, so I can't argue that. But you wouldn't
because I'm black, I'm relegated to a city council spot or something like that, only because. No black man can get elected statewide in Mississippi.
That's all factual.
Yeah, so it's.
Let me say this, like I said, people. We started off this show talking about how, I don't want to say in spite. When I saw you in the paper, when I first came to Jackson, I really thought you were a walking Satan the way they portrayed you.
Yeah.
When I came.
Yeah.
And then you had helped me out. I was doing some construction cases.
Yeah.
And you pointed me the right way, and I had to fight you to take a retainer.
That's right.
And I was like, this guy's a stand-up guy. So, and let me say this. I don't know if you know this, Dr. J. When you're dealing with expert witnesses, was what technically he was, they'll charge you just for calling their number. Right. Once the $1.8 million for Microsoft, where you're like, I didn't think an expert could charge and that was an antitrust economist. If anybody wants to go to school, but back to what I was asking, and we're running a little late, but I want to run late. Mm-hmm. What do you feel? What would you feel? Would it just be an amount? Would it be structured? What would you feel that you deserve, and what amount?
I don't think the term is reparation as much as I think is restoration.
Restitution.
Restitution. We got to give back what we took.
Okay.
And I'm not talking about what you did during slavery. I'm talking about the damage that was done after that.
55, 65.
Oh, man, all of the property that was taken from black people by raising the taxes on the land. You develop in an area, the taxes go up. Black folk own the land for 150 years. Now they can't pay the taxes on it, so they lose it at the tax sale. A white guy standing there, he pays it 3 years. He owns all of the property. And all these fines and all these trumped up charges that you got to pay cause black folks to lose their wealth that they had back in the day.
Now, but we're talking two different things. We're talking macro and micro, the big picture and individual. Yeah. Let's get back to big picture. I want to ask Dr. J.
Yeah.
You personally, though, what's the number?
Well, again, I like Bishop Crudup's economic plan. I think that every black child born in the 2020.
Let me pause you right here. Are you going to talk to him and make some comments about the academy, him moving the question, or is that just for the white boy? Because y'all slip and slide left and right. But go ahead. I'm going to ask you for the third time. Socrates Gary. Not the black children. That's the macro. We'll get there.
Right.
For what you being born in 1946.
Right.
What's the number for you? Because, the next
it's
question
in the
I'm
trillions.
With, is there a number that would
You're talking about me personally as an individual.
Individual. And then whatever that number is, I want that number, would it truly put you back to where you want where you should be. Because this is what I have to tell my clients. Dude, you lost an arm. There's not an amount of money where I can give you that. I mean, and I'm going to ask Dr. J this. Dr. J wants her dad home during her formative years. There's not a check in amount. You know, we could get into some astronomical numbers. It's not going to be that. And as we get older, you know, when people start passing or those relationships or you just realize, as we talked about, you're not going to be 25 again. I used to tell people all the time, when I first did Microsoft, we worked with some national firms, and I was like, oh, they got an office in Miami. Woo, let your boy. And they're like, hey, man, you want to do something in Mississippi? We've done something in Mississippi. I want to do something in Miami. And they're like, but you're a Mississippi guy. No, I want to be the Miami guy. Oh, we got Miami people. And you're like, son of a gun. I don't want, and I don't regret that, but I realize where you're born, there's only so many levels you can truly move. And that gets us back to Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's dad was a mechanic, but because of sport and luck and some other, and hard work, but I mean, he jumped so many generations there. And, you know, average R, you can sit there and like, there's only so many years you have to really change your social economic position. And it's not a good thing, it's not a bad thing, it's a thing. But back to you.
Well, see, it's hard for me to measure it in money because my enterprise, I would have created an enterprise that would have been on the same playing field with Reginald Lewis when he started Beatrice Foods. I would have been the same guy out there that was building something.
So what would you measure?
And then there would have been no amount of money. You know, if I could get my products in mainstream America where they were buying Earth Blend coffee, for example, if we could truly do that, then money, there is no amount of money that I couldn't earn. Just the guy that did Amazon.com, look at Amazon. Look how he moved from a stockbroker to being the wealthiest man in America in 5 to 10 years. I'm that guy.
Was he a stockbroker? I thought he sold books.
No, he sold books online. That's how when he started. Yeah, but he came out of the finance.
Okay. Go
and
ahead.
so I'm that guy that would have created something so significant, so until money wouldn't even. There was no amount of money that you could count.
So and that's what I'm going with. What would put you? Is there anything that would put you whole?
Not for me at this point.
While he's thinking, Ecclesiastes 10:19. A feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry, but money answered all things.
Okay, let me ask you this. You've heard me debate him. What amount would put you whole?
Put me whole?
Put you individually whole. Don't go.
I need about $16 trillion.
Look out.
And where are we getting that 16?
That ain't my problem to figure out. But that'll put me whole, put my community whole.
No, see, you're talking macro again. and I understand that. And I mean,
you asked me for my number. I just gave you my number.
You gave me my number. But what I'm saying is, and I mean, the absence of a father in a life is there's no money amount on it. So we're making fun, or we're laughing a little bit at the 16. But I mean, in reality, it gets back to you're missing a leg, and you know you can give you all, but you're not gonna get that leg back. You're not gonna get those times back.
But whatever that amount is, no black person that was born in America should be paying to go to school for higher education. I mean, it's just some things because they kept us from being able to go to school. It was laws on the books that made it illegal. The Negro Act of 1740, for example, made it illegal for us to read and write, grow our own food, and to be in large crowds. They didn't want us coming up with no plan. So anything that could help us be self-sufficient, they made a law against it. So they need to undo all these different things in every area, from education to home to housing to health care. Money should be in all those places for us because they discriminated against us in all those different areas.
But what I guess, and once again, there has to be an economic component. Mm-hmm. And this is going back to my upbringing. The greatest gift I ever was given was just hard work. And what I'm saying is, when I don't think money will ever, because what we're trying to do is take 400 years of oppression.
Listen, whatever
and
formula.
Change it. Listen, they say, well, if it's 400 years of oppression, then you need 400 years of liberty to equal out.
Whatever formula they use to pay the Jews, they can use that. Whatever formula they use to pay the Japanese, they can use that.
Who paid the Jews?
The Holocaust, they got money.
I thought they got their own. I mean, now Richie's the one. No, what I'm saying is that I know.
They even paid white people after slavery. When they lost their slaves, they paid them for losing their slaves.
Not only that, I mean, they paying white people now not to farm.
Come on now.
I mean, we talk about wealth. How much is your welfare check or your TANF check? And the biggest amount of money that we're bailing people out is no white farmers up in the Delta where you come from. Brent, they don't farm anymore.
Sunshine, you ain't gotta tell me that. Trent Lott and Thad Cochran called my family up and said, "Do you want a bailout? Do you want to be subsidized?" My Hillman Logan and Raymond Hazz. Hillman Logan said, we'll rather bankrupt the company. Oh, we couldn't stand farmers because no one ever bailed us out. The farmers, we knew farmers who went to jail for burning crops. But look, you're not going to find another person who hates farmers and subsidies as much as I hate them.
Well, I'm just saying, there are a lot of things that people have been done for other groups and still being done to a certain group that can be applied to the African American population.
Okay, let me ask you this. With all that said, why is this anger that I'm feeling justifiable? Justifiable.
Well, I'm not angry at all.
You got a little angry earlier.
You got a right to be angry. Don't let these white folks control your narrative. You got a right to be angry. Because if somebody did that to them, they'll be angry too.
They wouldn't have made a good.
Look what they did at the Capitol.
They wouldn't have made a good slave.
Come on now.
They wouldn't have made a good slave anyway. But the deal is this right here. I'm not angry. We're having a good conversation.
We're having an educating conversation.
Right. So the deal is when you start talking about those things and talk about what happened and what needs to be done about it, those are tough questions, and the answers are even tougher.
But what I'm saying is, if we say that, and like I said, to me, you're never going to find a perfect solution.
No, you're not.
So what I would do is I would say you have to start coming up with an equation. And just to give us some quantitative number.
Right.
And like you said, I would base it on this. And this is just me, redneck from Greenville. I would look at the average starting salary or average income of African American current family. I would look at versus white family. I think you could quantify that disparity. Then you would have to start sitting there and trying to overcome that. But then I think, tell me if I'm right or racist, I want both of y'all's point of view here. I think in that equation, you being born in 46 need to have a different factor than her being born in 78. Because it is getting better. It's not perfect, but go ahead. You disagree? But I'm saying, unless we start having serious conversations.
I don't even think you have to go back there. Okay. I think that you can stop and look at the situation, the dire need in the African American community, and invest in it right now to make it whole. I think that it's absolutely a disgrace that African Americans get less than 1% of contracts for goods and services throughout government in the entire state of Mississippi. And our population is 40% of the state. African Americans ought to get 40% of the contracts for goods and services. And then you create some black Bill Yates. You create some black T.L. Wallaces. You create some black Hemp Hills. All of those things would make a tremendous difference, and they're doable if you got a conscience and you really want to try to make amends.
But the thing about it,
so one of the watchers told me to ask you, do you have a number?
For what y'all been through or for what I've been through? No, sincerely, but I need clarification on what.
Do you have a number for what you think that blacks should be paid for reparations?
No, that's what I'm saying. If we're talking as the macro, that it wouldn't be a number, but it would be more like what he says, and that's why I don't like the word macro. And that's why I'm getting. Look, I grew up with some people who had trust funds, and we had money. But my dad acted like we did not.
What's a trust fund?
No. But what I'm saying, the greatest gift I had was we were taught, and this is what I tell everybody. The reason I'm successful, if you can call it successful, what I am now, because the towboat industry went away. We worked, And what I'm saying is truly, and no one loved me more than my mother and father. So to give you what I would see as restitution from my point of view, it would be teaching you how to fish and not giving you a fish. Yeah. I don't like the number question because I've seen people inherit money or win the Powerball and go broke. If you really want to be where I am or be where I think you need to be and you're asking me, you need to start working as a lawyer and doctor, but have those assets. But I would invest more in programs. But here's the issue, and we're going to run out of time, and I love this conversation, but like HBCUs, this is going to make some people angry. I think they're outdated, and I'll tell you why. Harvard, and I work with people from Harvard and Yale, they don't teach anything different than they teach at Ole Miss. The pull or the success of Harvard or Yale is what he was talking about earlier. Sitting at the table and who you know. This is the gentleman, this is Ford, this is Gates, this is whoever. It's the connections you're getting. And that's one of the things I was trying to get into earlier. I have destroyed lawyers, and they used to say on Microsoft, the guy who argued against the DOJ, I beat in court. Just beat in court, and they took him off the case. I'm still the redneck from Mississippi. Now, I'm not putting that in place of watching people get raped or killed or lynched, or I'm not putting that in place.
So what's a redneck? How you define redneck?
That's what I'm saying is walk in any room, that's literally what they call me. Now, if you tell me honestly in Greenville, Mississippi, I listened to NWA growing up, playing basketball, I was not a redneck. As soon as I walk into New York, hey, redneck. And what I'm saying is there's a social economic structure there. And I hate to give him credit because I'm not a big fan, but Bill O'Reilly said the hardest thing to do in your lifetime is to change your social economic status. Because where you're born is where society wants you to die. And what we really need to get into is, are we compensating you monetarily? That's one conversation. But to me, and look at Dave Chappelle's, it was a joke, but I think it's true. If you're not educated, and if you're not taught the ways to spend the money and invest the money, you're not getting into it. One of my frustrations, I'm not comfortable with people. People used to say I'm comfortable with black people. I'm not comfortable with black people. I'm just not comfortable with white people. I'm not comfortable with anybody. And what I was trying to get earlier with y'all, and I understand the perspective of white privilege and stuff, but if I have a list and the first 228 people are white. And you're sitting there like, I'm going after the same people who are have versus have not. It's not for the same. My dad was there. I've never seen anybody get raped. I'm not putting myself in those positions. But it's truly, if you want to attack poverty, if you want to attack discrimination, you're asking me, it's step one, the libraries we got to fill. Now, like I said, I get mad as a trial lawyer who's related to a Democrat. We got 37% African American. Why don't we have a serious Democratic candidate in any statewide position? And we don't. And I get so angry because, like I said, we just had Obamacare shot down twice again. Now, what I would have liked to see done with Obamacare, because I can see the whole entitlement issue, put a work component in there. Put a work component. To me, if you want Obamacare or you want affordable health care, I would like to combine it where Socrates Garrett gets 10 free employees. To me, it's something like that where we can give people here but restore him for the opportunity. Now, can I give him the opportunities where he could go open a corporation in 1970? No, there's no amount of money I can do that. And let's be honest, when you get a certain age, I don't want to say Socrates wants a time machine, but that's truly the only thing that would be able to put him back in the position he truly deserves, is a time machine.
It's gone.
Correct. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. But if
he got kids, and they're going to have kids. I mean, he's still trying to leave.
Well, exactly. But what I'm saying is put in the structures that I was getting. But that's one of the things that frustrates me. If you want to be raised like 101 Creekmore Road, yes, the assets was there. Yes, the plane.
Well, people talking about, folks being lazy and not. Hey, you got to think about it. We built this country for free.
No, but what I'm saying is it's not being lazy. And that's what we need to go away from. It's not being lazy. It's truly dealing with trauma that has left generational effects. Mm-hmm. And what I'm saying is I can't sit here and say that this man is lazy. Bishop Crudup, I can't sit here and what's an interesting conversation, I guess, for another show, is being somewhat removed from it generationally wise and also race wise, because I am white, obviously. I can almost tell you that man hit the wall. That man, I mean, there's a generation of lawyers, black lawyers, that you can almost go to everybody's family member was a teacher. Because the teacher was the highest African-American job they had. And then boom, 20 lawyers or 5 lawyers or 5 doctors. But then what you see is you can see somebody and the conversation that no one wants to have, I understand statistically, but dude, you're working 20 hours a week. That's not going to happen either way. Now, is that because of systematic racism that has destroyed a family unit or stuff? And how do we restore that? That's not going to be restored with money. But that's what I'm saying, going back to the HBCUs, I don't like all women's college. I don't like, because I believe you have to exist in the world that is. And I believe to grow, what I would love to happen is a migration of about 20,000 black people go to Ole Miss. And so we can have these conversations, so we can break down economic barriers. Because like I said, to me, from what I know, one of the greatest assets I know.
Why can't y'all come to Jackson State?
Because what I'm saying is because let me answer that seriously. Because the situation is statistically, people who graduate Ole Miss is going to have there's more assets in Ole Miss. Now, is it because of segregation? Yes. But no one's going to, the frustration I get is when I hear people say, well, if the white people did this, and I'm sitting there thinking, so people who have oppressed you for 400 years, you think that's going to change? Nowhere in history has that changed. And specifically speaking, while we're talking about from the North American standpoint in Western Europe, racism is an issue in India from the caste system. It's an issue that it's have versus have nots. Mm-hmm. And what I'm saying is, one of the reasons I think we need to address this is, one, like I said, to me, I make more money if there's more Democrats. Let me be clear as that. And the people I go against, it's not to help. I'm a civil rights attorney also. I've got several civil rights cases. But it's sitting down and saying, we need to focus here. We need to focus here. You need to, the 60-hour work week in Mississippi must be adopted. Socrates probably knows his name because he knows China more than I do. Who's the gentleman, the billionaire in China? He literally has a rule called 96. That's how many hours you're supposed to work in a week. He doesn't believe in time. You know who I'm talking about?
No, I don't know.
It's a software. He doesn't believe in time off. And what I'm saying is, there's no way to make up 400 years of oppression except to expedite it. But the best way I can teach you how to be a lawyer and a doctor is to work. How many hours did you work last week, Socrates?
I was here at 6 this morning, and I'm here now, and that's every day.
And that's what I'm saying.
And then I work another 4. I go to bed around 12. So I got 18-hour days routine.
You would have to teach that systematically, in my opinion. Now, given the assets, giving them assets like this, and that's one of the reasons I don't look at it, I can't sit here and tell you I look at it so much as a black-white issue. I feel like half the time, and I don't even know if we discussed this, I literally tried to do something like this studio at WNPR 5 years ago, and no one wanted to. And to me, that's not my frustration with black people in Mississippi is that they act so white. And we're just happy to be last. We're just happy to be the biggest name in the neighborhood. We're not competing with the Atlantas. We're not competing with the New Yorks. And like I said, it burns in me. One of the attractions of Michael Jordan, I am one of the most competitive people you ever want to know. I don't care about the score. I just want to beat you. And that's why I wanted that man back here. But like I said, and I'm amazed, and we need to take a break and end this, but like the coffee. I don't know anything about coffee. I don't know it, but I know a man who went to China to buy some coffee, I can get that energy. And I'm going to get that competitive attitude and say, oh, I see your coffee, Socrates. Oh, I got to go in my bag. Mm-hmm. And what I'm saying is, how do we teach that to a community? But I mean, I think you have to have a component of therapy, counseling. I think we have to have we don't even talk about mental health in
Well, the biggest way to teach it to a community is through role models. get your foot off of somebody's neck and let them come through, break through, quit the red line and make the financing available, buy goods and service from them, share the contract and the wealth. We're in the middle of a pandemic. You think that I can't sell gloves and masks? Well, the only reason I'm not selling them, you know, I do a lot of things. The only reason I'm not selling them because I want nobody to buy them from me. And so I know how to import them, but I ain't got no customer. Right. So what we got to do is we got to create some role models because they will be what they see.
Of course.
And they don't see nothing right now. They see no. So you working?
You locally or nationally?
I'm talking about both. Just the generation. They don't see nothing anywhere. When we look at, you know, if I'm putting in 18 hours a day, and this is as far as I have gotten, then the young kids say, "Well, I'm not working that hard."
Well, see, but wait, that's not racial. That's generational.
No, I know it,
okay.
and it's that old flea in the jar where you got the top on the jar, and he bumps his head up there jumping up. When you take the top off, he stays in the jar. He won't jump out no more. He's been conditioned.
Yep.
He's conditioned not to jump any higher than that.
How do you break that?
Well, I said by showing some role models. Let the folk that are putting in the work have a chance. See, my problem with the African American business community and white folk is that every African American owned business should be full of opportunity to its capacity. Having an African American business with the lack of utilization that has capacity is criminal. And so we start there. All of the black engineers and black lawyers and black contractors and black professional services people ought to be given opportunity and contracts from the government that it serves in. And then we start to build some role models. There are no black-owned high-rise buildings in Jackson. There's only one man that ever had one that went more than 2 stories. And that's Cornelius Turner, and he dead, and he couldn't get, the state wouldn't rent no space from him in the building down there at Crossroads. And so we just keep pushing everybody's head down. And it's killing our community, and it's killing the aspiration and the dreams and the hopes of black folk.
Do you think it's reasonable to expect 400 years of oppression by white people to change? And that's what I'm saying. What from an outsider, I would say no one's coming.
Right. Brent,
you're going to have to do it yourself.
Brent, you are not racist. Your generation of folk, for the most part, are not racist. When I went to the march, when George Floyd's murder downtown, it was more white people down there, kids, than black kids. They came from everywhere to march and fight in that deal. It's not racist. It's a few of the controlling folk in the state.
Yep.
That are running everything, that's keeping a foot on everybody's neck.
But now I would counter with that, and let's go ahead and say one name, Haley Barbour. And you know, and to me, look, Haley Barbour got started in the Delta when he went there to get some money from some towboat people, and he completely forgot where Greenville is. So to me, I guess the question comes down to, once again, systematic racism, but at some point, Haley Barbour don't care. Trent Lott and Haley hate each other because it's a power struggle, and Haley won. When does it start being just a pure economic issue?
It's what it is now. It's not racism as much as it is an economic struggle. The white man, and let me say what has happened to you, okay? The white man is backed up a long ways. He's given up his white superiority position by a large degree. When I was coming up as a boy, if you saw me with a white woman, I was holding her for the police. There was no way in hell after Emmett Till, nothing like that. I'm not going to even look at no white woman.
No need to risk it.
No. It just can't happen.
Yeah.
It can't happen. So, now, interracial marriages are pretty common in Mississippi.
Okay, what percentage you say common? Before you answer.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you want to marry each other, ain't nobody going to stop you.
You can, but Dr. J, what percentage would you say of interracial marriages?
You asking me what percentage? Maybe about 10%.
I don't think it's that high. What percentage would you say?
Oh, I don't know.
No, go ahead. I don't think it's because of so much racism.
No.
I think it's more because we're segregated as a society.
Right. So, but there has been no relief on economics. Every policy has been about keeping the economics in a certain segment, in a certain population. Even the drugs. Black folk don't bring drugs in here. Black folks don't bring guns into Mississippi. That's white economics that's in place. There's been no sharing of the wealth because that changes things. And that's why you got a legislature up there that won't do anything that changes the quality of life and the economic status of black folk.
Because of power.
Power and protecting their way of life.
Totally. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'll say it. Baptists, through some intermediaries, contacted me and said, and mostly my business partner, y'all need to come out for Obamacare. And I laughed. I said, y'all are one of the biggest hospital systems in the state. Why don't y'all come out? And they were like, we cannot come out. Now, this was years ago. And if you notice, they wrote an op-ed piece in the paper, but they did not say the word Obamacare.
Right.
And it's because Louisiana their hospitals have made a fortune, and our hospitals are shutting down.
Right.
And it's not even called Obamacare. That's not even the name. That's the name the white folk gave it so that people can be turned off by it.
But
the Affordable Health Care Act.
But the hospitals know they need it, and they know they're dying, they know they're closing their doors, but they won't say it because they'll be punished by the Mississippi legislature. If the legislatures don't appropriate monies to the hospitals, they can't survive either. So they caught in a situation. They can't say we want Obamacare because it will help the hospital provide quality care to the citizenry and will be profitable. Because the emergency room is breaking them.
Of course.
The emergency room is breaking the hospital systems right here because poor people don't have no insurance and you can't turn them down and it's killing them. And so, but they can't say that because Philip Gunn, Tate, and Delbert says if you push for this, we'll cut off your funding from the state.
But is any of it going to change?
And we can't get nowhere like that
until the Democrats register and vote. Is anything going to change until you get people out there register? I mean, let's be honest. We ran a truck driver for governor 8 years ago.
Yeah.
You got what, 200,000 votes almost?
Yeah.
And they voted the first name at the top, and they didn't know. And what I'm saying is, at one point, do you sit there and say, to me, to tell someone to register to vote, I don't understand, and this is killing my profession. 70% of my profession is Republican. And the Republicans hate lawyers, which is fine. I understand it. But I don't understand how you go spend $150,000 of your money, 7 years of your life, which is more valuable than money when you get older, and start voting against your own economic interest. And it happens every day here. And I'm just looking at them like, what? And everyone's afraid that, we don't want to be outspoken. And that lack of anger. So when I see the African American community going through what y'all gone through, not voting, it's just, and I, like you said, systematic oppression. I understand that, 400 years. But when you can Google and you see all these people talking about the power of voting, and like I said, it might not be the first African American, but just a Democrat who's supporting teachers' public school investment and Obamacare. But there's not, to me, I'll just go ahead and say it, the Democratic Party in Mississippi is just a joke, especially when you're starting off with a 37% African-American population. You should at least be competitive. And we're just not, because to me, looking at it as a white male, we're just happy to be last. But I'll tell you what, we're ending up here, but let's do this. We're not going to solve all the problems, but one of the issues that we can solve, we're still working out the kinks, people. But as soon as we work out, and Richie and I were known to give some giveaways, and we haven't done one yet, we're going to give away $1,000 to the best video emailed in, that's 3 minutes or less. And we're primarily doing this because we want dreamers. We want failures, meaning I'm going to learn. We want people to inspire us. So we'll start off that way. And if anybody's listening who wants to be an intern, or we're working on getting some call-in shows and things like that, or if they just want to call in and buy some time, Dr. J, how do they do that?
Just give me a call, 769-447-8313. Again, 769-447-8313.
And before we go, Socrates, if people want to support a black business owner, and I talk about, look, everybody's texting me talking about that white boy redneck, whoever it is, shut up and come buy some coffee. And how do they do it, Socrates?
They just go to earthblendcoffee.co, earthblendcoffee.co. Order online. The finest coffee you've ever experienced. We'll ship it right to your door. earthblendcoffee.co. Look for your orders first thing tomorrow morning. Our system, our infrastructure is in place. We can handle the workload. Just order the coffee. Thank you, Brent.
Well, how much does the coffee cost?
It's $14 for this 12-ounce bag. It's premium coffee.
Well, here's the deal. I'm going to buy 100 bags of coffee.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
For the first people who call in at what number?
601-209-9199.
And when I say 100 bags, one bag a call, but for the first 100 bags are on hazard law.
Look out, Brent. We really appreciate you here, man.
Again. Give me the number again.
601-209-9199.
So if you want to support a black community leader, a black businessman, and get some if you're too lazy to get some free coffee from a redneck from Greenville owned by this man, just stop listening. Just stop. But we'll be back next week. I thank both of y'all for having an honest conversation. I still think I won. See y'all next week. Bye.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Have you had your Earthblend coffee today? At Earthblend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earthblend Coffee.
To order, visit earthblendcoffee.co now.